In September 1921, Roscoe "Fatty" Arbuckle, one of the biggest silent film stars of his era, organized a small gathering at San Francisco's St. Francis Hotel during Labor Day weekend. The atmosphere was meant to be celebratory, but events quickly spiraled into tragedy. Actress Virginia Rappe became gravely ill while in Arbuckle's hotel suite. She was later taken to a clinic and died on September 9th. Doctors determined that her cause of death was a ruptured bladder that had led to acute peritonitis. The circumstances immediately fueled suspicion, and Arbuckle was arrested on a manslaughter charge. Newspapers published sensational claims, framing him as the face of Hollywood excess, and the public formed strong opinions long before the facts were examined in courts. The legal process dragged on through 3 separate trials between 1921 and 1922. The first 2 ended in hung juries, reflecting the deep uncertainty surrounding the case. At the third trial, the jury acquitted Arbuckle in April 1922. They went further than a simple verdict of not guilty by issuing a written statement that openly criticized the prosecution and expressed regret for the damage done to Arbuckle's reputation. Despite this formal acquittal, the scandal had already destroyed his career. Studios distanced themselves from him, and much of the public never forgave or forgot the accusations. Testimonies during the trials were deeply conflicting. Prosecution witnesses faced credibility issues, and the medical evidence was disputed, with experts divided on whether Arbuckle could have caused Rappe's fatal injuries. The scandal became a turning point in Hollywood's relationship with its audience. Many Americans began to call for stricter oversight of film stars and their behavior. The fallout contributed to the industry's push for self-regulation to prevent government intervention. This led to the rise of the Hays Office, which eventually imposed strict standards on Hollywood productions. Arbuckle's films disappeared from circulation for years, and although he attempted a limited comeback, his name never fully recovered. By the early 1940s, Charlie Chaplin was one of the most recognized entertainers in the world. Yet in 1943, he became the focus of a scandal that would mark a turning point in his career and reputation. The controversy began when Joan Barry, an aspiring actress who had previously been involved with Chaplin, gave birth to a daughter in October 1943. Barry claimed Chaplin was the father and filed a paternity suit. Chaplin underwent court-ordered blood tests that unanimously excluded him as the biological parent. However, California courts at the time did not accept blood tests as definitive proof, which meant that the results could not dismiss the case. After an initial hung jury, a retrial in 1945 declared Chaplin to be the legal father. He was ordered to provide child support until the girl reached the age of 21, even though modern science showed otherwise. The scandal grew more complex when federal authorities pursued a separate case against Chaplin under the Mann Act, accusing him of transporting Barry across state lines for immoral purposes. In March 1944, Chaplin went to trial for this charge. A few weeks later, he was acquitted, but the combination of legal challenges and tabloid coverage left lasting damage. Around the same time, Chaplin married Una O'Neill in June 1943, the teenage daughter of playwright Eugene O'Neill. Their 36-year age gap drew public scrutiny and fueled negative press, which intensified the perception that Chaplin's private life was scandalous. Chaplin's reputation suffered greatly in America, and the controversy became one of the defining blows of his career in the country where he had once been adored. In 1958, rock and roll star Jerry Lee Lewis was on the verge of becoming one of the biggest names in music, but his career took a devastating turn when he married his 13-year-old cousin, Myra Gale Brown. The marriage was not only controversial because of Myra's age, but also because she was his first cousin once removed. The news first broke during a tour of the United Kingdom. British journalists began questioning the legitimacy of the marriage after noticing how young Myra appeared. Lewis at first tried to downplay the situation, claiming she was older. However, the truth eventually emerged that she was just 13 years old at the time of the marriage, while Lewis himself was 22. The revelation shocked audiences and promoters alike, leading to widespread backlash. The UK tour was abruptly cancelled after only a few shows due to public outrage. The scandal destroyed Lewis's reputation almost overnight. Radio stations pulled his songs, promoters cancelled concerts, and record sales plummeted. For nearly a decade, career was in ruins, and Myra herself would later reveal in interviews that she was too young to fully understand marriage, and that the relationship was filled with difficulties. Although Lewis managed to revive his career years later by shifting toward country music, the scandal remained attached to his name. In the late 1980s, Rob Lowe was one of Hollywood's rising stars, but in 1988, his career was nearly destroyed when a sex tape scandal thrust him into the center of controversy. The tape involved Lowe and two women, one of whom was just 16 years old. This made the incident more than just a Hollywood embarrassment, as it raised serious legal and moral questions. The scandal began when the videotape surfaced publicly, shocking fans and damaging Lowe's carefully crafted image. In Georgia, where the encounter took place, the age of consent was 16. This meant that while the tape was legal, it was still deeply unsettling to the public, given the girl's young age. The backlash was immediate and severe. Lowe became a punchline in the media, and studios hesitated to hire him. He eventually checked himself into rehab for alcohol and sex addiction, which helped him begin rebuilding his public image. Over time, Lowe managed to stage a remarkable comeback. Michael Jackson's career was defined by both unmatched musical influence and some of the most serious scandals in celebrity history. In 1993, the singer faced his first major accusation of child sexual abuse when 13-year-old Jordan Chandler and his family alleged that Jackson had molested him. The case made global headlines and immediately divided public opinion. While police searched Jackson's Neverland Ranch for evidence, the case never went to criminal trial. Instead, Jackson reached a financial settlement with the Chandler family, reportedly paying over $20 million. Although the settlement avoided further legal proceedings, it also fueled suspicion among critics who argued that he was trying to escape justice. The allegations resurfaced in 2003 when journalist Martin Bashir released the documentary Living with Michael Jackson. In the program, Jackson openly admitted to sharing his bed with young boys, which reignited public debate. Shortly after, Gavin Arvizo, a 13-year-old cancer survivor who had appeared in the documentary, accused Jackson of molestation. This time, the case went to trial. In 2005, Jackson stood before a jury facing charges of child molestation and providing alcohol to a minor. The trial was one of the most highly publicized celebrity cases of the decade, drawing worldwide attention to both Jackson's personal life and the culture of celebrity scandals. After months of testimony, Jackson was acquitted of all charges in June 2005. Supporters celebrated his innocence, while critics argued that his fame and wealth influenced the outcome. Despite the not guilty verdict, the allegations left a permanent mark on his career and legacy. Even after his death in 2009, documentaries like Leaving Neverland continued to explore these accusations, ensuring that the debate surrounding Michael Jackson's life remains unsolved. In 1995, British actor Hugh Grant was at the height of his career. Known for his charming on-screen persona and his relationship with model and actress Elizabeth Hurley, Grant was considered one of Hollywood's most bankable stars. However, his image took a dramatic hit when he was arrested in Los Angeles for lewd conduct with a sex worker named Divine Brown. Grant was caught by police in his car on Sunset Boulevard, and the news quickly spread across international media. The scandal shocked fans because it clashed with his clean, gentle, manly public image. Instead of retreating from the public eye, Grant appeared on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, where he openly admitted to his mistake. His apology became an iconic moment in late-night television, with audiences appreciating his willingness to confront the situation directly. Elizabeth Hurley stood by him at the time, though their relationship ended a few years later. Grant pled no contest to the misdemeanor charge, received probation, and was fined. While his reputation was bruised, his career eventually recovered. Britney Spears was once the face of pop music, adored globally as the princess of pop. However, the period between 2007 and 2008 saw her career and personal life spiral into one of the most infamous public breakdowns in celebrity history. Years of intense media scrutiny, custody battles, and personal struggles combined to push Spears into the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. The trouble became visible in early 2007 after her divorce with Kevin Federline, the father of her two young sons. Constant paparazzi harassment intensified as she faced a custody dispute that placed enormous emotional strain on her. That same year, Spears shocked the world by walking into a Los Angeles salon and shaving her head in front of photographers. Her erratic behavior continued, including attacks on paparazzi with an umbrella and multiple hospitalizations. In January 2008, after refusing to turn her children over during a custody handoff, Spears was placed under psychiatric hold. This incident led to her father, Jamie Spears, taking control of her finances and personal decisions through a conservatorship. Public opinion was split at the time. Many ridiculed her struggles, while others began questioning the toll of fame and exploitation in the music industry. The conservatorship lasted for more than a decade, sparking the Free Britney movement years later. Her breakdown highlighted how vulnerable young stars can be when fame, mental health issues, and relentless media pressure collide. Tiger Woods, considered by many to be the greatest golfer in history, saw his reputation collapse almost overnight in late 2009 when a cheating scandal erupted. The story began with a car accident outside his Florida home, which at first appeared to be a minor incident. However, as details emerged, it became clear the crash was tied to a dispute with his wife, Ellen Nordegren, after she learned of his infidelity. Soon, multiple women came forward, claiming to have had affairs with Woods. The number of alleged mistresses quickly grew, and the media frenzy dominated headlines for months. Woods, who had built a career on discipline, clean image, and global endorsements, suddenly faced a very public fall from grace. In December 2009, Woods admitted to his affairs and announced he was taking an indefinite break from professional golf. Sponsors including AT&T and Gatorade ended or suspended their partnerships with him, costing him millions of dollars. His marriage to Nordegren ended in divorce in 2010. Woods eventually returned to golf but struggled both professionally and personally for years after the scandal. His story has since been reframed as one of redemption, especially following his dramatic 2019 Masters victory, which marked one of the greatest comebacks in sports. The scandal, however, remains a pivotal moment in his life and in celebrity culture. Lance Armstrong was celebrated as a hero. He was not only a champion cyclist, but also a symbol of resilience and hope. After battling and surviving advanced testicular cancer, Armstrong returned to professional cycling and went on to achieve what seemed like the impossible. Behind this story of triumph, however, suspicions about Armstrong's success were growing. Allegations of doping followed him throughout his career, though he firmly denied them for years. In 2006, a French newspaper published claims that retests of his older samples showed evidence of banned substances, but he was cleared at the time. The turning point came in 2010, when former teammate Floyd Landis filed a whistleblower lawsuit. By June 2012, USADA released a formal case against Armstrong, describing what it called the most sophisticated doping program in professional sports history. The evidence included sworn statements from teammates and medical staff who detailed the use of EPO, testosterone, human growth hormone, and blood transfusions. Armstrong chose not to contest the charges. As a result, he was stripped of all competitive results dating back to August 1st, 1998. The financial fallout was immediate. Major sponsors such as Nike ended their contracts with him. Analysts estimated that the scandal cost Armstrong at least $150 million in potential future income. In January 2013, Armstrong finally admitted, in a televised interview with Oprah Winfrey, that he had used banned substances throughout his career. The legal consequences stretched on. In 2018, Armstrong settled a federal lawsuit for $5 million, and he was ordered to pay $10 million to an insurance company that had covered his Tour de France bonuses. The scandal transformed Armstrong's image from inspirational survivor and champion to one of the most infamous cautionary tales of cheating and broken trust. For much of the 2000s and 2010s, Ellen DeGeneres was one of the most beloved figures in daytime television. Her talk show was marketed around kindness, generosity, and laughter. However, in 2020, her public image took a severe hit when several former employees came forward with claims that the show's workplace environment was toxic. Reports published by outlets such as BuzzFeed News detailed allegations of intimidation, fear, and discrimination behind the scenes. Some employees claimed they were fired after taking medical leave, while others alleged they were subjected to racist comments from senior producers. There were also accusations that employees were instructed not to speak to Ellen directly unless spoken to, which contrasted sharply with her on-screen image of warmth and approachability. Warner Media, the parent company of the show, launched an internal investigation after the allegations spread widely across social media. The investigation confirmed lapses in workplace management and revealed that the culture of the show did not reflect its public brand. In response, Ellen issued a public apology during the show's opening monologue in September 2020, acknowledging the problem and taking responsibility as the leader of the program. Despite efforts to repair her image, the damage to Ellen's reputation was significant. Viewership numbers for her show began to decline sharply, and social media users questioned whether her television persona had always been a facade. In 2021, Ellen announced that the show would end in 2022, stating she wanted to pursue new challenges, though many critics saw the decision as a direct result of the scandal. For years, one of the most shocking live television moments in recent history occurred at the 94th Academy Awards in March 2022. Comedian Chris Rock was on stage presenting when he made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's shaved head, referencing the film G.I. Jane. Jada, who had spoken publicly about her struggles with alopecia, appeared visibly upset by the remark. Within moments, Will Smith walked onto the stage and struck Chris Rock across the face. The incident stunned both the audience in the theater and millions of viewers watching at home. Initially, many thought it was a scripted bit, but the seriousness became clear when Smith shouted from his seat, "Keep my wife's name out of your mouth." Reactions online were immediate and polarized. Some defended Smith, framing his actions as an attempt to protect his wife's dignity. Others condemned the slap as an unacceptable act of violence, specifically at an event meant to celebrate the film industry. The Academy launched a formal review, and within weeks, Smith resigned from the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. Soon after, the Academy banned him from attending the Oscars or any Academy events for 10 years. Despite the controversy, Smith still won the Oscar for Best Actor that night for his role in King Richard. His emotional acceptance speech included an apology to the Academy and fellow nominees, though not to Rock directly. Days later, Smith issued a public apology to Chris Rock and audiences worldwide, acknowledging that his behavior was out of line. For Smith, once considered one of Hollywood's most family-friendly stars, the incident marked a dramatic turning point. In 2022, Kanye West sparked one of the most widely condemned controversies of his career. Already known for his unpredictable behavior and provocative statements, Kanye escalated matters by making openly anti-Semitic remarks on social media and in interviews. In a tweet that quickly went viral, he wrote that he was going to go quote-unquote DEFCON 3 on all Jewish people, a reference to a military alert level. The post was immediately flagged and removed, but not before it spread across platforms and ignited outrage. Kanye's comments were not isolated. He went on to repeat anti-Semitic stereotypes in podcast and television appearances, suggesting that Jewish people held disproportionate power in industries like media and finance. These statements drew widespread condemnation from Jewish organizations, civil rights groups, political leaders, and fellow entertainers. His remarks were not only seen as offensive but also as dangerous, since anti-Semitic rhetoric has historically fueled discrimination and violence. The fallout was swift and severe. Major brands that had partnered with Kanye began cutting ties, especially as he continued to double down on his statements, and to this day somehow is getting even more controversial, making songs about supporting Hitler. Supporters argued that he was struggling with mental health issues, pointing to his documented history of bipolar disorder, but critics stressed that mental illness cannot excuse spreading bigotry. These episodes have become the lowest points in Kanye's public career and have permanently damaged his reputation. Thank you very much for watching this video, and if you learned something, make sure to leave a like. Comment down below your thoughts on any of the celebrity controversies I discussed in this video, and subscribe if you would like to see a part 2 or more videos like this one. Thank you again, and goodbye.